Hello, everyone. Thank you, dear friend, for being here too. Today, I want to discuss some common myths about learning English. A myth or a misconception is an incorrect idea, something that people think is true, but it actually isn't. Have you ever felt like you're practicing a lot but not seeing any real improvement? Do you worry that maybe you're just not using the right secret method to get fluent? These myths can be harmful because they can confuse you and halt your progress. But once you understand the reality, everything becomes clearer. We can feel more relaxed and spend our time effectively. And then, little by little, we can feel authentic fluency building within us. So in this episode, I am going to share with you the misconceptions that a lot of learners still hold. These aren't always discussed in a classroom, but they are incredibly important. Together, we will examine each myth, and then I will reveal the truth. As I always do, I'll be speaking at a steady, clear pace. I'll be using straightforward vocabulary so that you can understand and follow along with me. Let's get started. Misconception number one. Watching movies with subtitles will automatically make you fluent. Many learners enjoy English films and TV shows. They dedicate hours to watching them with subtitles and feel a sense of pride because it feels like they are studying. But some learners think that just watching, only watching and nothing more, will make them fluent. Well, that is not correct. Watching is beneficial, yes, but watching by itself is a passive activity. You are not doing anything. Your eyes and ears are engaged, but your mouth isn't speaking, and your memory isn't getting deep practice. Consider physical exercise. If you sit on your couch and watch a fitness video, will your body get in shape just from watching? Of course it won't. To get stronger, you also have to move. You also have to run. It's quite similar with English movies. If you desire a clear speaking ability, if you desire fluency, you can't simply watch. You have to use active techniques. Pause the movie. Mimic the lines. Shadow the actor's speech. Repeat the sentences over and over, and jot down helpful phrases. So the reality is straightforward. Movies can certainly assist you, but they are only effective when you engage with them actively, not just passively. Here is the second misconception. Speaking quickly is the same as speaking fluently. Some learners are convinced that fluency means speed. They believe, if I speak fast, others will think I'm fluent. But speed is not the same thing as fluency. It does not signify fluency. Fluency is about communicating smoothly and naturally. It's about being clear, at ease, and self-assured. When you attempt to speak too quickly, your words can get jumbled. Your grammar starts to fall apart. Your sentences come out sounding disorganized. And quite often, you feel anxious on the inside. Native speakers don't always talk fast. They reduce their speed when they want to be understood. They use pauses and they restate words when necessary. This is perfectly normal and a part of genuine communication. So the reality is that you don't have to be fast to be fluent. You should aim for clarity, calmness, and confidence. That is what true fluency really is. Here is the following misconception. You have to be thinking in English constantly. Instructors frequently say, think in English, not in your first language. I also say that often, and I've covered it in 2 of my videos. This is good advice, but some learners take it to mean they must think in English every single second of the day. When they find they can't do this, they feel bad about it. They get stressed, and at times they feel discouraged. But the reality is you cannot force your brain to think in English all the time. Thinking in English is not like a light switch that you can just flip on. It is a natural outcome of practice. It develops gradually, like a tree. Okay, so what should you do? You can set up small English moments throughout your day. This is a topic I have covered in my past videos. For about 10 minutes during breakfast, describe what you are eating in English. For 15 minutes before bed, write a brief journal entry in English. When you're listening to a song, attempt to sing along in English. These small instances develop into larger instances. Gradually, step by step, English starts to become the language your brain defaults to naturally. So the reality is you don't have to think in English constantly. You just need to establish consistent, short periods for English, and the rest will follow on its own. Okay, misconception number 4. One perfect method is all you need. Many learners are constantly hunting for that single best method. They're looking for one book, one application, or one course that will miraculously grant them fluency. But the reality is that there isn't a single magical method. Learning a language is similar to constructing a house. You cannot build the entire house with just one tool. To become fluent, you require a variety of different tools. You require many types of practice, listening to authentic speech, speaking and shadowing, reading stories or brief articles, composing your own simple sentences, and naturally having actual conversations with people. Every method contributes to one aspect of your English proficiency. Altogether, they make you proficient. So the reality is, stop hunting for one perfect method. Create your own combination of methods and apply them each day. Okay, misconception number 5. Learning English is a straight upward path. This is a very widespread belief. Many learners assume their progress should always move forward. They anticipate each week being quicker, superior, and more effortless. But the reality is that learning is not a straight line. It's more comparable to climbing a mountain. At times you ascend rapidly. At other times you find yourself standing still on a level spot. This is known as a plateau. During these periods, you feel bored and you think, I'm not making any progress. But not advancing is not the same as failing. It is a component of the learning process. Your brain is actually reorganizing information. Your memory is forging stronger connections. You are getting better. The quiet periods are also periods of growth. So the reality is, don't be afraid of not moving forward. Do not fear these plateaus. They are a natural part of the process, and they signal that your brain is getting ready for its next leap forward. Here is the next misconception. If you didn't start as a child, you'll never achieve fluency. Adults are often scared of this incorrect idea, this myth. They tell themselves, I'm just too old. My accent is never going to change. But the reality is different, my friend. You can learn at any point in your life. Yes, children can imitate sounds very quickly, but adults possess focus. Adults have discipline. They have learning strategies. Adults are able to listen attentively, imitate with care, and repeat over and over. With enough time, their pronunciation can become clear and very natural. Remember that fluency isn't determined by age. It's determined by how much and how frequently you practice. So the reality is you are never too old. Your habits matter far more than your age does. Okay? Here is the next misconception. You need to learn complicated words and advanced grammar to sound impressive. While some learners desire to sound very intelligent, they opt for uncommon words and complex grammatical structures. But this doesn't lead to fluency. At times, if you don't use those words properly, it often leads to confusion. Everyday fluency is constructed from simple, common chunks and phrases. These are the expressions you find yourself using repeatedly in actual life. For instance, how's it going? Could you help me with this? Let me check. I'm on my way. I'll get back to you. These brief expressions are the real foundation of English. They allow for smooth communication. So the reality is, don't spend your energy trying to sound overly advanced. Concentrate first on the common words and phrases. That is where real fluency resides. Here is the last misconception. Being silent is a sign of failure. This is an incorrect idea. Many learners are convinced that if I have to pause while I'm speaking, it means I'm not fluent. But pausing is completely natural. Even native speakers pause frequently. They stop. They might say, or let me think. Pauses give you a moment to think. Pauses make your message easier to understand. Pauses indicate that you are thinking with care. So the reality is, silence is not failure. Silence is a component of genuine fluency. Okay, so which of these myths did you believe before listening today? Which truth seems new to you? Now always remember that fluency isn't about magic. It is not about speed. It is not about perfection. It's not some gift that comes from an external source. Fluency is the result of daily practice, taking small steps, having the courage to keep going, and maintaining a calm mindset. So move ahead with enthusiasm. Practice a little bit every single day. Treat mistakes as learning opportunities. Speak with clarity and enjoy the process. So now that we've cleared away these common myths, you might be asking yourself, okay, what's next? How do I actually put these truths into practice? Knowing that speed isn't the goal is one thing, but building calm, clear confidence is another. It's wonderful to understand that learning isn't a straight line, but how do you stay motivated when you find yourself on one of those long, flat plateaus? Let's expand on our conversation and talk about the practical, step-by-step actions you can take and the powerful mindset you can build to truly unleash your English potential. This is where the real work and the real fun begins. First, let's talk more deeply about one of the biggest walls that learners hit, the fear of making mistakes. This is closely related to the myths about needing to be fast, perfect, and using advanced grammar. The desire to avoid mistakes is what often causes us to stay silent in a conversation or to feel deep anxiety before we even speak. But I want to offer you a new perspective. A mistake is not a failure. Let me repeat that. A mistake is not a failure. A mistake is simply data. It's a signpost on your learning journey that shows you exactly what you need to work on next. When you say, I go to the store yesterday, you haven't failed. You've just received a piece of data that tells you your brain is still solidifying the past tense for the verb to go. That's it. It's not a judgment of your intelligence or your ability. So how do you use this data? You actively work with it. You can say the correct sentence, I went to the store yesterday, out loud 5 times. You can write it down. You can create 3 more sentences using the word went. When you start seeing mistakes as helpful data instead of something to be ashamed of, your relationship with learning will completely change. You become a detective of your own language learning, not a defendant on trial. This mindset shift is perhaps the single most important step you can take toward real, lasting fluency. It gives you the freedom to be imperfect, and in that freedom, you will find your voice. Next, let's build on the idea of creating your own mix of methods. We know that one tool can't build a house, so let's fill your toolbox with some simple active techniques for the four core skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Remember, the key word here is active. For active listening, don't just let English wash over you like background noise. Choose a short audio clip, maybe a 1 minute segment from a podcast for learners or a song you enjoy. First, listen just to get the main idea. Then, listen a second time, but this time, try to write down 3 to 5 words you recognize. On the third listen, try to understand the full meaning of 1 or 2 specific sentences that contain those words. This transforms passive hearing into an active, focused exercise. For active speaking, you don't always need a partner. One of the most powerful and low-stress methods is to simply talk to yourself. Narrate your own life. When you are making coffee in the morning, say it out loud in English. Okay, now I am getting the coffee. I am putting it in the machine. I need some water. It might feel strange at first, but you are building direct connections in your brain between real-world actions and English words without any pressure. This is a foundational step to making English the language your brain chooses naturally. For active reading, pick a short article or a children's story. Instead of just reading from start to finish, challenge yourself to find the main idea of each paragraph. As you read, use a highlighter or your finger to underline one word in every paragraph that is new to you. Don't stop to look it up right away. First, try to guess its meaning from the context of the sentence. After you finish, you can look up those few words you selected. This makes reading an engaging puzzle, not a chore. And for active writing, the goal is consistency, not quantity. Get a notebook and call it your English log. Every single day, write just 1 sentence. That's it. 1 sentence about your day. Today, I ate a delicious apple. My work was very busy. I am tired. This tiny habit, taking less than a minute, builds a powerful routine. Soon, 1 sentence will feel too easy, and you'll naturally start writing 2 or 3. Let's also revisit the idea of creating small English islands in your day. To make this even more practical, you can think of it as the 5-10-15 plan. Find 5 minutes in the morning, perhaps while you're brushing your teeth, to simply think in English. Plan your day. First, I will eat breakfast, then I will go to work. I need to call my friend. Find 10 minutes during your day, maybe on your commute or during a lunch break, for active listening. This could be one song you listen to 3 times or a few minutes of a podcast. Finally, find 15 minutes in the evening for focused, active work. This is your time for active reading or writing, or for reviewing new vocabulary you learn. 5, 10, 15. Just 30 minutes a day, broken into manageable pieces, creates a consistent rhythm that is far more effective than trying to study for 3 hours once a week. Finally, I want to leave you with one more truth that we didn't cover earlier. You are not alone. Every single person who has become fluent in a new language has felt the same frustrations, the same doubts, and the same joy of finally expressing an idea correctly. When you feel stuck on a plateau, remember that millions of others are on a plateau with you, and millions more have successfully crossed it. Find a community, whether it's an online forum, a local language exchange group, or even just one study partner. Sharing your journey makes it lighter. Celebrating small victories with others makes them more meaningful. Fluency is not a solitary mountain you must climb alone. It's a vast, beautiful landscape that is best explored with fellow travelers. So embrace your mistakes as data, fill your toolbox with active methods, build a consistent daily rhythm, and remember that you are part of a global community of learners. This is what really works for fluency. It's not a secret, it's a practice. It's not magic, it's mindset. And it is absolutely 100% within your reach. I'm Tom, and this has been English Unleashed. Thank you for listening, and until the next time, continue learning, continue practicing, and continue believing in yourself. Bye for now.